part of my like long-term goal is to eventually get into larger pieces to rent out for events and stuff.
Oh, so that's my goal. I would like to do a vintage rental on china and stuff for weddings. So because I'm part of the event industry, whenever people need stuff, so I've done a couple weddings where I've done mismatched china. When I did my wedding, I wanted all mismatched china, but my sister was like, "Okay, listen, you have 300 people, right? They're coming. Plus, you are bringing everything out to the site." So I just rented a barn. I had to bring in water, electric, everything, bathrooms, everything. So she's like, "You're going to bring 300 plates, like mismatched china. So how many sets of all of it? Lug it out here, wash it, whatever." So she talked me out of most of it, but for the rehearsal, I did it. So what I want is just easily like
Mhm.
sets that people could come in and choose the plates they want, and all these beautiful sets of glassware that nobody wants to own anymore, but they can rent it, and the cake plates and just everything, because there's so many beautiful sets, and like china is what everybody gave for weddings way back when. Now people are like, china, why would I collect a china pattern? So people are just tossing sets away. So I grabbed the whole set for either free at a clean out or for $5 at a yard sale, and I clean them up and I store them nicely, and I have a decent inventory. So eventually I'd like to go out by like the Hamptons, by the vineyards, and have my own little rental company out there. So,
Genius.
right, it's
That's,
saving it and it's letting people appreciate it without having to buy it. So,
yeah. And all you have to do is store it, transport it, and clean it.
mhm, exactly. And if they have me as any part of their wedding, I could do a lot of it as part of my services. So,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah, it's been
Like
good so
that.
far. I like it. Yeah.
Really cool. Very cool. All right. So, my next question is, well, my next question was, what kind of style or genre vintage do you look for when you're curating your shop?
Yeah, so I would say I gravitate mostly towards 1950s housewares, kitchenwares. I mean, you can tell from a lot of my stuff that I collect Pyrex and jadeite and stuff like that. So most of I just feel like it's a genre that I really have a handle on. Like, even though I didn't grow up in the 50s, even though like nobody's put it in front of me and said like this is what we had from our house in the 50s, I just feel like I gravitate towards it. I love the colors back then, and everything that they made back then is so durable, and it's still working better than what's made now. So my husband, every time I walk in with a bowl, he goes, "Another bowl?" And I'm like, "You say it like that, yet it's the first thing you grab and use." So like, you don't complain when we're cooking out of cast iron skillets, because that's the best thing for us to cook out of. And I have I'm just looking over in my kitchen now at all my stuff. I have like dance cookware, and I have like the Descoware, Dutch ovens and stuff, and all of it cooks food so well. And my kitchen is colorful, and you know, the only thing I don't have is appliances, because I'm still like, oh, do I rewire those? That I'm still working on, like mixers and stuff like that. But for the most part, like the house is colorful, it's functional. Like I don't bring anything just to put. When I look at like some collectors and online, and like they have like bookcases in their living room filled with Pyrex, I always look and I'm like, it's beautiful, it is. But I don't think I would have a bookcase in my living room filled with dishes, but they're in around the cupboards in my kitchen. And when I want, like, I set a table for my husband's 40th birthday the other night, and it was mostly blue. And I was like, huh, maybe I should use blue Pyrex. So I got up on my stool and I pulled down my blues and I washed them and I used them. So I'm not scared to use like everything in my even if it's decorative, it's functional. So I'm not scared to use anything. So
And
yeah.
I always, it's silly, but I always look at when I invest in good vintage pieces for my house. I'm always like, this is an investment because this stuff is
Exactly.
gonna last so
Right.
much longer. It's already lasted this long.
Mhm. It's true. And like he'll sometimes say like, "Oh, look at all those bowls." I'm like, "They're all worth money." So one day if I need money, I take it down and I can sell it. I'm like, "So I know the value of everything in the house, and I'm not so attached to everything that I can't let anything go." So
Yeah.
sometimes I list it for sale and I put it up on my shelf and I enjoy it in my home until it sells. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm getting the best of both worlds. I can use it for a little bit, I can sell it, whatever, but I could look at it and at least know that I liked it and I had it, but it's okay letting it go, you
Mhm.
know? So
I do the
that's,
same thing with my personal art gallery. I A lot of my more valuable pieces in there are listed
yeah.
somewhere on the
Yep.
internet. So if it sells, it sells.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm gonna look at it and enjoy it.
Yep. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I think we're all kind of like that. Like I know Megan is. I know Megan at the Cosmic Cottage. I know she's that way. Like she'll show you stuff in her room set up perfectly, and then she'll be like, sold, and you're like, wow, that was fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So what is your favorite piece you've ever found?
So, so I have two. So my favorite piece that I personally found was just one of the, there it is. It's the large crewel that says like, God bless this pad. I love all the vintage cruels now. I love, the size of it, the color. And when I saw that, I was leaving an estate sale and I looked behind the guy and I'm like, oh, is that for sale? And he's like, yeah, I mean, you could take it for, I don't know, $20. I was like, okay, sold, I'll take it. And I like ran to the car. So I love that. But my father-in-law, he does some clean out services as well. And he's like, listen, I got some furniture and stuff for you that I want to give you. And I said, okay. So he brings this big mirror in, and it's a big, heavy, it's 7 feet, 8 feet tall, and it's gold, and it was so dirty. And I just put it in my basement for like almost a year. Didn't even think twice about it. And then I was trying to clean up my basement to put aside stuff for my yard sale, my yearly yard sale that I do. And I was like, maybe I should clean this up and see what it looks like. And I took it outside and cleaned it, and I was like, in love with this. In love. I think, hold on. I'm going to actually show you because, hold on. Ready? We're going for a little walk around the house. Okay, hold on. There it is. So it is this big, massive gold mirror. I don't know if it's a kingdom mirror, if it belonged one time, like in a restaurant. I don't know. It has a hinge on the side, so I don't know if it was a door for like for a ballroom or something, but it is beautiful. So again, I told my husband that it's listed for sale, and but it's made it so far last in the living room. I mean, in our dining room. So those are my two favorite, I think.
Awesome. That God bless our, is yours say God bless our pad or God bless our home?
God bless our pad.
Okay, yeah. That was one of the very first things I ever sold is that crewel.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
I think there's a series of it. Like I think there's like Think Kindness or something like that. So I'm hoping I can find more. So
yeah. It was the most expensive thing I'd sold up to that point. Like I think I sold it $100 or something on Etsy, and I was just like, oh, somebody gave me $100.
It is. I mean, it is worth it, especially for the size, and like it's so heavy, and it's I love it. And I did one time I was at Salvation Army and I found this stack of bowls, and it was like 6 little bowls, and I was looking at them and they're all rusty and they're all gross, and I'm like, I feel like I know that pattern. Like I feel like I'm just gonna bring it up to the register and see. So I go up and I said to them, oh, they're in such bad shape. Like, I don't know, $2 a bowl, like $12 on this. I don't even know if I could clean the rust. So they're like, take the 6 of them for $5. And I was like, okay. And I got home and I used Barkeeper's Friend on the rust, and I cleaned it all up, and they look brand new. It was Catherine Home. So I've sold 4 out of the 6 so far, no less than $60 a bowl. So like I made so far $240 off of these things. I kept the other 2. I was like, those are a rainy day fund.
Right.
And all because I thought to myself, I recognize this. What is it? And I love that. I love that just by reading Flea Market Decor magazine and just by following, Instagram sellers and stuff like that, how much knowledge I've obtained. And I feel better knowing that I know what I'm selling, and I'm not just saying pretty bowl with orange flowers, So I like that my knowledge has grown.
I feel the same way. I get so much satisfaction from if I go out, and because I don't look stuff up in the store. I don't like standing there looking at my phone looking stuff.
Me either.
If I don't have the gut feeling about it, I don't get it. But when my gut is like really right, like when it's like turns out to be something real good, I'm like, man, I'm so proud of myself.
I agree, and I feel like that's why I collect what I sell, because I feel like if I'm drawn to it, then other people will be drawn to it too, because it's our, it's all about your style, right? So if you think that you have something that you like, I just feel like other people, and that's why I always buy things that I like, because I'm like, at the end of the day, if somebody else doesn't like it, it'll look good in my home. Yeah. So I try to just go with that. But I can't believe the knowledge that I've gained. And people say, well, how do you even know about this? Like, how, did you just have a gut feeling? And I'd be like, it started with a gut feeling. But I am constantly online. I am constantly reading. I am constantly learning, because that's the way to do it. And when I don't know, like I'll message Megan and I'll be like, Megan, do you know what this is? Because I feel like Megan is like one of the most helpful people, and she collects the same kind of stuff that I do. So I'll message her and be like, have you seen this before? And I feel like even our network is just so helpful and so supportive that I learned something. I would say I learn at least 10 new things a day just by being online.
Yeah,
So,
no,
and I appreciate it.
completely,
Right.
completely. So speaking of sourcing, where do you source most of your stuff? Your vendor.
So I love when the antique shop up the road calls me and says that he has a clean out, because what we do when we go in, and I'm an environmental nut, like not so much that, like, I won't buy certain things because how do I recycle it? Not to that extreme, but I think of everything I do purchase, and I compost my own soil and I grow my own food, and like I really try to be conscious in every effort that I make. And my stepdad's a lobsterman, so he was very conservative always. So he taught me like how to recycle all this kind of stuff. So when I go on cleanouts with my friend, he'll go, okay, this is what we're boxing up for our store, and the rest we're throwing away. And then he'll go, let Vita go through first. So I'll go in and then I'll be like, okay, I'm taking this set of dishes, this. So whatever I think may have value that I could keep out of a landfill, I'll load up. So some days I go home with more in my car than he puts in his truck for the store. And then we recycle what we can. So, clothes get donated if he doesn't take them. And, we recycle metal. But when I look at like some of the stuff going into the metal, and I was like, oh God, that like, I could sell that. Like I get like, ugh, but he needs to make the money on the metal. So like if it's really good vintage, I don't let it go in, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer for the clean out because he has to wait for me to pick what I'm taking. But so I basically trade my time for the stuff that I bring home, but I still get paid for doing the clean out as well because it's a lot of work. So I start there. I sometimes buy off marketplace if I see a good deal, and I've had a couple good deals recently. But I'm like, I go to Salvation Army, I go to Savers, I do those kind of stores. I love the little old lady church thrift stores. They're the best
Yes.
because they're so sweet, and you just want to go in and talk to them. And like every time I leave the thrift store, I swear I hug people. I'm like, thank you so much for this jacket, hug. Thank you so much for this wonderful bowl. So I feel too, if you have a good rapport with the people working, because they're all mostly volunteers as it is. I have no problem going back. I do my little circuit, and if I see an opportunity, right, a lot of people call me and be like, we're cleaning out our mom's house, or we're doing this or whatever. Do you want to come by and look? Or I'm saving this for you. So I'm always grateful for that. But whenever somebody says, do you want to look? I just always say yes, no matter what it is. And then I always offer my time while I'm there. Do you want me to clean this out? Do you want me to take this? Do you want me? And sometimes I'll take a whole bunch of donations out of their house just to help them too, because they let me take some things that are of value. So whatever I can do just to help out.
No, it's good. You put good into the world and you get it back in vintage.
I try, girl. I try.
That's wonderful. I love that. So what is your favorite thing about selling on Instagram?
I have to say, like, my business on Instagram hasn't picked up exponentially like everybody else's right now. So sometimes I'll do a sale and I might I might list 40 things and sell two of them. But I'm grateful for the two sales. And then I sell across the board. I have Etsy, eBay, and Mercari. So I keep myself in business between all of them. But what I love the most about Instagram is the knowledge that I obtain through it and all of the people we work with. I love seeing new shops. I like seeing how they market, how they work. I love just being supportive of other people and having them support me. Like